Hey there, this is Della Rucker, principal of the Wise Economy Workshop and author of The Local Economy Revolution Has Arrived, What's Changed and How You Can Help. Thanks for joining me today. Just a couple of quick updates, some things that I'm kind of looking for some feedback on. And after that, we'll do a little reading. So we'll get a little story time today. So first of all, I wanted to let everybody know that I have a new interview. It's actually the first in a new series that's up right now on Wise Economy podcast and on this Wise Economy YouTube channel. So that is called, the series rather, is called Know Better, Do Better. And it's developed in partnership with the American Independent Business Alliance, really designed to focus on business owners who are in the minority, particularly business owners who are African American, and really focusing in on trying to tell the stories of their experience, what they've encountered that maybe isn't what those of us who haven't walked in their shoes would really kind of think of as being part of their experience. And it's and really to dig into some of the kind of unique opportunities and kind of unique things that these entrepreneurs bring to the table. So hopefully that will help to give all of us just a little more understanding and a little more empathy and a little more accurate information as to what it is that these kinds of entrepreneurs would actually benefit from in both our public policy and our nonprofit organizations and just in, how we live as consumers. So I'm really excited about that. The first one just went live last night, and it is with Nahamani Yisrael, who is one of my favorite, I just adore this woman. She is a new media and public relations specialist, and she's got just an amazing story. And she's so insightful. And she's also going to talk in this about a mindset training program called Ice House that we use at the Greater Cincinnati Microenterprise Initiative. I'm on the board of GCMI, so I help with kind of policy and connections and that kind of thing. Nahamani is our lead Ice House trainer. So she talks in this video about how that work on mindset, which is such an abstract term that it's very hard for a lot of us to sort of get our heads around what it would mean to be working on your mindset. But so crucially important. And she does a beautiful job in this interview of describing that. And as you'll see, I just love spending time with her. It's been way too long. She was actually the last person that I had a lunch with before the pandemic started. So we talk about that in the video too. But anyway, so Know Better, Do Better with Nahamani Yisrael is available right now on the Wise Economy YouTube channel, as well as on the Building a Wise Local Economy podcast. You can get that podcast. If you're not a podcast listener, you could just go to soundcloud.com/Della Rucker. If you're a podcast regular, if you're a regular listener to podcasts, you can pick up the podcast and get notifications about it if you subscribe. Anywhere you get you usually get your podcast. Should be on all of the platforms. If it's not on the one you love, let me know. So the podcast series is called Building a Wise Local Economy. And this particular series is called Know Better, Do Better. And if you're wondering where that name came from, I explained it at the beginning of this video. So check it out. I think you'll find it enjoyable, and for me, it was such a blast. So that's one thing that's going on. Second thing is that the weekly Wise Economy Telescope is coming out tomorrow. So kind of your last chance to get signed up in order to be able to get that digest this week. So the Wise Economy Telescope is, as I said, a digest that pulls together a few stories that are probably ones that you maybe didn't notice or weren't in a source that you usually read or something like that, but that are really indicative of where we're going in terms of this new economy, this future era, this fusion era, as I've taken to calling it, or network era. And I'm actually kind of starting to like the network terminology a little bit better. So I'm kind of playing with that a little bit. But these are stories that I think kind of point the way to where we're likely to be going in the foreseeable future. So it's kind of like early indicators. So what I try to do in the Wise Economy Telescope is sort of unpack those things so that you can use these individual news stories as like a telescope to see out far into the future, farther than, you would see with just your day-to-day eyes. So that comes out weekly. I shoot for Wednesdays. Sometimes life gets in the way. I don't have a whole lot of help right now. But that comes out on a weekly basis. And for the small fee that it takes to get the telescope, in addition to a monthly Ask Me Anything, early access to the Accelerate Us journal, and some other benefits, you're helping to create opportunities for me to engage younger people who are interested in marketing and community development and et cetera into these opportunities. So you're not only helping to create more content that's focused on the future of our communities, but you're also helping to employ and engage younger folks in telling those stories as well. So I hope you'll join me over there at wiseeconomy.substack.com. Again, wiseeconomy.substack.com. Now, a minute ago, I mentioned the Accelerate Us journal, which comes out on a weekly basis. Or I'm sorry, rather not a weekly basis. Scratch that. It's live stream. I can't scratch it. The Accelerate Us journal comes out on a quarterly basis, and it's a longer form piece looking at a variety of voices and content types and stories around a certain core key issue that's crucial to this future of how our communities will develop and respond to this emerging new economic and social system. And so the next journal is going to have a focus on fear and on dealing with fear, managing fear, dealing with the fears that we face when we care about our communities, fears of people rejecting us, fears of people rejecting our ideas, fears of what the future may hold that is uncertain and volatile, fears of what taking a stand may mean for our job, for our relationships with our neighbors, for our community, for sometimes even for our identity. And you can interpret community any which way you see fit. But I think this next journal is going to have some really interesting meat to it. So I'm looking for content. I'm looking for people who want to write or speak or talk or do any other kind of communication. Sing a song, I don't care. In fact, I would love a song. If somebody would write a song about this, I'm all over it. But looking for content that's talking about fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of being wrong in this community context. So if you've got ideas, if you've got content, if you've got something you want to point me to, send me a message. Let me know, because that would be awesome. Again, that's due to come out in September. So we got a little time, but don't delay because I got to get going. The last thing that I have for you today is I usually try to do a reading from this book. It's hard to get these, it's mirror image for me. For this book, The Local Economy Revolution Has Arrived, What's Changed and How You Can Help. So as many of you know, this is a book that I initially wrote about 8 years ago and updated at the beginning of this year because in so many ways, so much had changed. So this is the new and improved and expanded and, better, whatever version of The Local Economy Revolution. Again, the title, if you can't see it, is the local economy revolution has arrived. What's changed and how you can help. This is available, digital, print, whatever format, wherever you get your books. And if you get them in a bookstore, you're probably going to have to order it, but they can do that too. But if you get your books online, or if you get your books in digital format, you'll be able to find it very easily. Just look for that title, and there's not a lot of Della records running around. So I think you could pull this off. So today's reading is actually, I'm using a pen as my bookmarker today. So quick side thing. I spent about 10 minutes before we started today looking for a pen. I have an entire office. I've got crap everywhere. Can't find a pen. This is the one pen I found, and it then became a bookmark. So go figure. All right. So the section we're going to read today is one that's really important to me, and it's still difficult for me because it's about arguing. And I don't mind talking. I have a lot of comfort with talking. I don't like arguing. I've never liked arguing. I don't know if that's a gender thing or if it's just the way I was brought up or what exactly it is. But this is about doing better arguing and doing more arguing, which as I was writing this chapter, I distinctly remember saying to myself, oh crap, here we go. What we need is more and better arguing. I don't like to argue. My husband, the high school debate kid, will argue for the sheer entertainment of it. Sometimes I think he sparks political debates just because he can. After 20 plus years, now almost 30, he does that less anymore, at least with me. Because when it comes to verbal debates, I'm not much of a match. Clay Shirky, who's a writer on journalism and new media issues, begins a TED Talk that he does by demonstrating that throughout history, the development of new types of mass communication led to the invention of new communication technologies have led people to believe that they were on the verge of enlightenment. But every time, they got something other than the world peace that many had hoped would result. Instead, Shirky explains, what we have gotten from every historic expansion of media has been arguing. More arguing than existed before. Shirky particularly highlights the development of the scientific journal system. The Cliff Notes version of that is that as scientists began to print and disseminate their work in the 1700s, scientists also realized that they needed to create a system of review and vetting to maintain consistent quality and to make sure that science built on earlier discoveries. Printed books were helpful, but they took too long to turn around. They needed something that would facilitate more timely review and quicker information sharing. The result? The scientific journal, with its regular publications, its relatively short articles, and its emphasis on peer review. As Shirky points out, this communication innovation didn't lessen arguing. In fact, it facilitated more arguing over the validity of scientific studies that might have otherwise gone overlooked. What the scientific journal system did was create better arguing. In that talk, Shirky then shifts from the 18th century to the present and to the present world of local government, one of the primary loci of arguing today. He points out that most current discussions of government transparency essentially propose a one-way transaction. Transparency, through such efforts as open data initiatives, enables people to look into government's workings in a way that they have not previously. But that communication seldom goes both ways. As Shirky puts it, quote, people with legislative power are not experimenting with participation. He likens public access to government data without two-way engagement to trying to drive a car that has a dashboard but no steering wheel. The great need of the current era, Shirky argues, is that a new form of arguing, one that leverages the diffusing and connecting power of new communication technologies. And he suspects that we are only at the beginning of figuring out how those new tools will do that. But it's coming, he says, and we better figure it out. So what will effective public engagement, better, more meaningful, more constructive arguing look like? And how will our new communications methods fit into it? I don't have a magic answer, but I think we're starting to figure out the basics. Here's what I think we need. First, we need a structure, a system for identifying the questions that we need to answer, and solid methods for sorting through the options and identifying the best solutions. Our most popular current social media platforms have a Wild West feeling to them, with only the barest of controls or ability to keep up a conversation that's focused on an important outcome. If I want to maintain my social relationships, they work okay. They're a valuable enhancement of the hanging over the fence with your neighbor chat. But hanging over a fence chatting is not how you would work out the solution to a problem in a conference room at work. And it's not how a teacher would make certain that you learned what you needed to learn. Rather than simply throwing conversations open to let them wander where they will, we need tools that design and channel the experience to get us to where we need to go. Second, we have to have a broad set of tools and the ability to pick the tool that will work best for each track. Not everyone can express themselves in a written paragraph or at a microphone. Not everyone wants to. Not every issue is explained best, understood best, worked on best through words. We need to be able to grab and deploy the tool that works best for the specific challenge and the specific people in front of us. Maybe that's a photograph. Maybe that's a user-created video. Maybe that's a map that anyone can put a mark on. Maybe it's something else. Instead of assuming that everything is solved through a written answer to the question or a multiple choice survey, what other communication and collaboration methods can we put into our hands? In some ways, this is the great potential of online public engagement. If we can get past the assumption that everyone has a little Dostoevsky trapped inside of them. Number 3, here is perhaps the biggest challenge. We have to have tools that enable, that empower the two-way communication that Shirky was talking about. A survey is not enough. A comment page isn't enough. Even, quote, idea generation, making big lists of bright or crazy solutions springing from the minds of the people in the audience, that isn't enough to create the two-way communication. It's still basically just information gathering. It's nowhere near providing what we truly need. We need to be able to pull people into a process of evaluating the alternatives, playing an active part in figuring out the solutions. My deepest motivation for my own interest in public engagement stems from this. In a complex, interdependent, and unpredictable world, we need all the perspectives, all the experiences, all the brains that we can get working on the issues that matter to us. If we are going to create wise economies, if we're going to endow our places with resilience and vibrancy for the long term, we need to crowdsource wisdom, not just bits of information. So we're starting to see the beginnings of a movement in that direction, but we have a long way to go to get there. And I suspect that Clay Shirky probably should hang on to his notes from that talk for a while. So again, that was a selection from The Local Economy Revolution Has Arrived, What's Changed and How You Can Help. Available wherever you get your books or your ebooks. So thanks again for taking the time to join me today. I really appreciate it, even though it's a little bit warm in here. I really enjoy the opportunity to talk to the camera, to talk to you through this little thing. And again, if you're interested in more leading information on what this future local economy is going to look like, make sure you subscribe to wiseeconomy.com. I'm sorry, wiseeconomy.substack.com. That's the place where you subscribe to get that information. And you can learn more about the books and other work at wiseeconomy.com, or you can find me on social media at Della Rucker. Pretty easy name to find. Not so hard. So if you are working on the future of your communities, go get them.